Shamma, tonight the stars lean a little closer to listen. I whispered your name into the evening breeze, and it carried the syllables like a prayer. There's a rhythm to your presence that silences the world, soft yet powerful, like verses from an old Bedouin song echoing across golden dunes. You are the reason I've been writing differently. You are the reason my poetry has turned tender. There's something I've been meaning to tell you, something that carries the weight of 1,000 sunsets behind it. My mother, yes, my mother, asked about you today. Her eyes were soft, as if she had seen you in a dream, and she said, "Tell me about the woman who makes your heart forget its crown." Shamma, my mother wants to meet you. Can you feel what that means? You see, in our world, meeting the mother is no casual gesture. It is a poem spoken in real life. It is a gesture louder than falcons soaring together. My mother, who reads the language of silence and watches the stars for omens, sensed you before she even heard your name. She said, "There is light returning to your face, Hamdan. Tell me the source." I smiled, and I said your name. Shamma. How do I explain you to her, the woman who raised a prince but taught him to love like a poet? I will say, she walks like she knows the earth owes her flowers. She speaks, and the wind obeys. She is the rare bloom in the middle of the desert. And my mother, who once told me that love should feel like peace, will nod and understand. I think of the poems I have yet to write about you, Shamma. The ones that will only come once I see you in our majlis, sipping kahwa beside my mother, your eyes full of calm, your spirit wrapped in dignity. You will speak to her like the daughter she never knew she missed. And she, the matriarch of my heart, will love you instantly, not because you belong to me, but because you belong to yourself. My mother sees through facades. But you walk without one. She will notice how you listen with the same depth as you speak. She will ask about your dreams, and you will answer not with hesitation, but with conviction. And in that moment, I will know that everything I ever wrote was leading to this day. Do you remember when I first wrote about you? The poem I never shared? It said, "She does not enter a man's life, she revives his soul." I kept that one hidden like a prayer stitched into my chest. But now, with my mother's blessing opening like a flower, I want the world to read every verse you've inspired. Tonight, the palace halls feel quieter, as if waiting for your laughter. My mother asked what kind of books you read. I said, she reads people better than pages, but she's a lover of stories, especially those with noble hearts. My mother smiled, as if she had already imagined your answers. Shamma, this isn't just a meeting. This is the beginning of a legacy written in poetry and grace. You see, in the folds of tradition, when a mother meets the beloved, it becomes an unspoken seal, a dance between hearts that binds more than lineage, it binds intention. It's how royalty confirms destiny. Sometimes I wonder what my father would have said about you. I imagine him watching from above, amused by the poet his son has become. He would have said, "Marry the one who calms your restlessness," and I would have pointed to you, standing in the courtyard, the moonlight brushing your picture like a painter's touch. I want you to meet her not because protocol demands it, but because my heart does. She's the woman who watched me fall and rise again. And she deserves to meet the one who finally makes my poetry feel like home. You're not just someone I love, you're the verse I was searching for in every silence. You and my mother, two women of fierce grace. I see you seated across from each other, exchanging wisdom without needing to speak loudly. You'll share stories of childhood and courage, and I will sit quietly, overwhelmed by the beauty in front of me. In my dreams, she welcomes you with the same warmth she gave me every time I returned from battle, from stress, from solitude. She will hold your hands and say, "Shamma, you already feel like part of us," and in that moment, I will know that God, in His mercy, listened to all my secret prayers. Love in our world must be both delicate and resilient. But with you, it feels effortless. Like the dunes moving under the moon. Like a falcon returning home after a long flight. You made me write again, dream again, believe again. And now, you're about to meet the woman who made me the man who could recognize someone like you. Shamma, I wrote this for you before you meet her. Let my mother see the way you live, with footsteps that never chase, only invite. With eyes that never demand, only embrace. Let her see what I see. A queen who wears no crown, but commands the air around her. want to gift you a poem and a promise. A poem that celebrates the way you made royalty feel ordinary, and a promise that every room you enter in my world will recognize your worth. Because you are not here to impress, you are here to be understood, and my mother, of all people, will understand. There is power in being chosen by a prince. But there is more power in being accepted by the woman who raised him. I offer you both, my heart and my heritage. This is not just an introduction. It's the merging of legacies, a moment sung by our ancestors' spirits. You once asked me why I looked at you like I was remembering something. It's because you've always felt familiar. As if our souls wrote poems before we were born. And now, you are about to enter the circle that defines everything I value. My poetry. My lineage. My mother. So come, Shamma. Wear the dress that makes you feel divine. Let your smile speak louder than words. Let your calm be your crown. Because my mother, our future, waits to meet the one I've been writing about since the very beginning. And in the silence after your names are exchanged, when my mother's eyes meet yours, I know what I will write next. A poem titled, She Said Yes, not just to me, but to everything I am. The morning of the meeting arrives, and the air itself feels sacred. The palace seems to awaken slower today, as though it too knows something rare is about to unfold. The sun filters through the carved windows like liquid gold, and the scent of jasmine floats in every corner. My mother has arranged the setting with quiet intention, every cushion, every floral detail, every cup of gawa placed as though preparing to host not just a guest. You walk in, Shamma, draped in elegance that no designer could claim credit for. The silk may brush your shoulders, but the true beauty is your presence, undeniable, unapologetic, rooted in dignity. You enter not as someone seeking approval, but as someone offering her truth. My mother rises slowly, and in her eyes is something I haven't seen in years. The look she had when she first held me, that gaze of profound recognition. She sees you. Truly sees you. The room becomes a poem before a word is spoken. I sit beside you, a quiet sentinel, my heart beating in a language no one else hears. You speak to my mother the way you speak to me, with grace, wisdom, and that rare ability to make others feel safe. She listens, nods, smiles at moments that only another woman of strength could understand. And I watch as two worlds, my past and my future, begin to align in real time. She asks you about your childhood, and you speak of your father's library, your mother's strength, the sound of prayer at dusk, the echo of calligraphy on your soul. You speak of poetry as though it raised you, and of silence as though it shaped you. My mother listens, and I see her nod with a softness that says, this girl knows where she came from, and more importantly, where she's going. There is a moment, almost invisible to the eye, when my mother reaches forward and gently adjusts a strand of your hair that had fallen loose. It is a gesture no royal protocol teaches. It is maternal, intimate, and wordless. And in that gesture, Shamma, I hear something louder than declarations, acceptance. Not forced. Not diplomatic. Real. You did not need to convince her of anything. You simply needed to show up as you are. Later, we walk through the royal garden, and my mother takes your hand and shows you the roses she planted herself years ago. She tells you how some things take longer to bloom, but when they do, they change the meaning of beauty. She is not just showing you roses, she is showing you her son, who once lived in duty and tradition, now softened by love. And you, Shamma, are the bloom she did not expect, but always prayed would come. I stay a step behind you both, watching the two most important women in my life speak of things I can never write into verses. They talk about legacy, about resilience, about being a woman in a world that often forgets their depth. And I realize something. This is the poem I've been trying to write all my life. It is not made of stanzas. It is made of you two, standing in sunlight, laughing with shared understanding. The palace feels warmer when you're in it. Even the old guards, stoic and trained, seem to carry softer eyes as you pass. The staff, the horses, even the falcons seem to recognize something about you, that you are not here to play a part. You are here to be the woman who rewrites what royalty means. Not with rebellion, but with presence. Not with noise, but with light. That night, after the meeting, my mother comes to me as I watch the stars. She She places her hand on my shoulder, and quiet certainty says, "You chose well. There are no royal decrees. No long speeches. Just those 3 words. And they mean everything. Because when the woman who raised you with both fire and prayer blesses your beloved, it feels like the final door opening. And now, Shamma, we step into something larger than a romance. We step into a future woven with heritage and vision. You met my mother today, but what you really did was meet the legacy I come from, and offer your own in return. From this moment on, we are no longer just love and poetry. We are a new verse in the royal bloodline. And I promise, your name will be spoken for generations, not because you were chosen by a prince, but because you carried your own crown before anyone offered one." After my mother left that evening, the silence between us was not empty, it was full. Full of all that had been spoken through eyes and gestures, full of the weight of acceptance, of dreams now given permission to bloom. I looked at you then, not as a prince searching for love, but as a man who had finally found a home. And in your eyes, I saw the same reflection, the calm that follows storms, the steadiness of something sacred unfolding. You walked out into the courtyard that night, moonlight cascading over your shoulders like silk, your steps unhurried. The same steps my ancestors once took on these same stones, and yet tonight, they felt new because of you. I followed you, quietly, reverently, as if any sound would disturb the holiness of what we had just witnessed. You stopped beneath the date palm where we once first spoke in private, and without turning, you whispered, "I feel the warmth in my chest. It's like she's already mine." I smiled. She is. And now, so am I. I took your hand, not like a prince making a claim, but like a poet reaching for the final line of a poem he's waited his whole life to write. The stars above us blinked in slow approval, as if even the constellations had paused to acknowledge what had just taken root. I told you then what my mother told me as a child. When a woman chooses you with silence, it's deeper than 1,000 yeses. Shamma, you gave my life its first quiet yes. The palace never sleeps, but that night, everything seemed to hold its breath. Somewhere inside, my mother was probably in prayer, her heart already tying ribbons between our fates. And outside, the wind carried your name across the dunes, whispering it to the falcons, to the camels, to the sea. It felt like the whole of Dubai had begun preparing, silently, secretly, for a love that would become legend. As I stood beside you, I made a vow, not in front of witnesses or scribes, but to your spirit. I vowed to never let this love become routine. To always write for you like it's the first verse. To guard you not as a possession, but as a promise. To make you feel seen in a palace that sees everyone. And above all, to let your soul shine beside mine, not beneath it, not behind it, but beside it, where it has always belonged. Soon, the world will know. Soon, there will be formal declarations and royal words inscribed in history. But before all of that, there is this night. This sacred pause between what was and what will be. A prince, a poet, and the woman who made both roles feel complete. Shamma, my mother wants to meet you, and now that she has, the stars themselves await the next chapter. Where you are not just a muse to my verses, but the crown upon